The battle for survival had stretched across centuries. Humanity had clawed its way through extinction more times than history could record: climate collapse, wars, famine, and finally, the arrival of the Dravari. The insectoid conquerors had erased hundreds of civilizations before Earth even learned their name. Earth's cities were smoldering ruins, her oceans choked with Dravari harvesters. The human population had plummeted to less than 50 million scattered survivors. For the galaxy, humanity was finished. And yet, aboard the old carrier Resolute, Commander Elias Kale refused to believe that. The ship floated beyond Saturn's rings, hidden in the frozen shadows. It was little more than a relic, a patchwork of welded steel and outdated tech compared to the sleek armadas of the Dravari. But inside, humanity's last warriors still trained, still dreamed, and still plotted. "Elias," whispered Mara Chun, his second-in-command. "Scouts report Dravari warships entering Titan's orbit. If they find us here, it's over." Elias ran a hand over his tired face. He was barely 40, but carried the exhaustion of a century. "Then we'll make them believe Earth still has teeth." He turned to the holo display. A shimmering map of the Saturnian system glowed with red dots, enemy ships. Humanity's last stand wasn't supposed to happen here. But the Dravari never gave choices, only ultimatums. Middle. By night, the Resolute felt more like a mausoleum than a ship. Most of its decks had been sealed to conserve oxygen, leaving only a skeleton crew wandering its dim corridors. Old metal creaked, lights flickered, and the constant hum of the reactor was like a heartbeat, steady, fragile, mortal. Elias often walked to the hangar where the last fighters sat in silence. He knew most of the pilots by name, by their families, by the tiny fragments of humanity each carried with them. It was during one of these walks that he met her, the alien prisoner. She was unlike the Dravari. Her features were humanoid, though more refined, luminous. Her eyes shimmered like liquid silver. Her skin carried faint blue patterns that pulsed like constellations. The crew called her Liara, a member of the Ellerin, a once proud race that had resisted the Dravari, only to be shattered like so many others. She had been found drifting in an escape pod months ago, unconscious, near death. They had saved her because Elias believed every enemy of the Dravari could someday become an ally. But Liara never spoke, never engaged. She simply sat in silence in her cell, her gaze locked on the void through the small viewing port. Until that night, Elias passed her cell humming. It was a habit he'd never shaken, a fragment of an old Earth song his mother used to sing. A lullaby, simple and haunting. To his shock, Liara turned. For the first time, her eyes widened, her lips parted. A single word escaped in her strange tongue. Again. Elias froze. "You understand me?" Liara shook her head, pressing a hand to her chest. "Not words. Sound. Memory." Her voice cracked, as though unused for months. "Song." He sang again, softly, the melody drifting through the cold air. And Liara closed her eyes, tears forming along the edges. "That song," she whispered. "It is like ours. Ellerin mothers sing to children. Before the war. Before everything." Elias felt a lump in his throat. It struck him that across galaxies, across species, music was still universal. From that night onward, she demanded he sing. Not in English, not in her tongue, but through tone, rhythm, emotion. Their fragile alliance grew in those stolen moments. Liara revealed secrets, weaknesses in Dravari armor, coordinates of hidden supply depots, tactics she had seen as their captive. She gave Elias something more than intel. Hope. And yet, it was never enough. The Dravari fleet surrounding Titan doubled. Humanity's fate teetered on a knife's edge. Elias planned one final strike, an impossible gamble to disable the enemy mothership before it annihilated Earth. The crew whispered of suicide. Elias called it survival. On the eve of the mission, he found himself outside Liara's cell. She looked at him through the barrier, her silver eyes reflecting sorrow. "You will die tomorrow," she said flatly. "Maybe," Elias admitted. "But if we don't fight, then humanity dies anyway." Liara's hands tightened against the barrier. "You fight with weapons. But your true weapon is not steel, Elias. It is this." She gestured toward her heart. "Your song. Do not forget it." Climax. The battle above Titan burned like a second sun. Dravari warships unleashed plasma storms that shredded human fighters by the dozens. The Resolute shook as hull plating ruptured, alarms howling across its corridors. Elias stood at the command deck, issuing orders with calm precision. His plan hinged on one desperate maneuver: deliver a strike team into the enemy mothership's core and detonate a fusion warhead. Boarding craft away. Mara shouted. Elias gripped the rail. The tiny dots representing his soldiers darted toward the monstrous Dravari vessel. Most were vaporized before they got close. A handful broke through, ramming into docking bays. Static filled the comms. Screams, gunfire, silence. The warhead never detonated. Elias felt the crushing weight of failure as the Dravari mothership powered its superweapon. Earth, still scarred and fragile, would be erased in minutes. And then he remembered. Not steel. Not guns. Song. He opened the comms to all channels, human and Dravari alike. His voice shook at first, then steadied. He sang. The old Earth lullaby, the melody his mother had once hummed in the ruins of a dying city. His voice carried through static, through screams, through the chaos of battle. The Dravari paused. Across their networked minds, the sound rippled like an alien virus they could not comprehend. But Liara, aboard the Resolute, answered. Her voice, ethereal and powerful, joined his. She sang the Ellerin counterpart to his melody, a harmony that had not been heard in her galaxy for centuries. Two voices, human and alien, woven together. The battlefield froze. Human soldiers wept in their cockpits. Even the insectoid Dravari hesitated, their collective mind fractured by the alien beauty of something they could not control. Art. The mothership's weapon faltered. Its systems collapsed under the psychic disruption caused by the song, amplified across their shared hive consciousness. Elias sang louder, tears streaming down his face. For the first time in history, humanity's last weapon was not violence, but beauty. Ending. When the battle ended, the Dravari fleet retreated, disoriented, fractured, vulnerable. Humanity, though bloodied, had survived another day. The Resolute limped through Saturn's shadow, carrying its scarred survivors. In the infirmary, Elias found Liara recovering from exhaustion. She smiled faintly when she saw him. "You see," she whispered, "your song saved more than guns ever could." Elias sat beside her, his hand brushing hers. "Not just my song. Ours." For weeks, rumors spread across the shattered colonies. Soldiers spoke of a song that broke the Dravari. Refugees whispered of a melody that made even monsters weep. Humanity, once forgotten and dismissed, had become legend. Elias knew the war was far from over. The Dravari would return, stronger, more prepared. But now, humanity carried something no conqueror could erase, hope that resonated not in steel, but in the soul.